off. You can get the Truefire All Access Pass for as cheap as they ever do it, the $99 thing. So just jump and do that if you're looking for the best price you can get Truefire All Access for.
To be honest with you, I thought this story was basically done. So I bought this when they were available. There was a short run where these came up. The Centaur, Behringer Centaur, as it happens, Behringer there, right? Now, you probably may have or may not have seen them when they initially sort of were floated as an idea, and when all of the initial sort of stuff happened, right? But you couldn't actually buy a pedal at the time. So these were announced, like, quite a lot of Behringer gear, quite ahead of time, and then it seems that they then start to roll out. It might be 6 months, 9 months later that people actually start being able to get their hands on them. It's a massive company, right? Probably the biggest, probably one of the biggest, probably the biggest, right? Because they also make parts for so many other people. Anyway, so what happened was that Finnegan, our man, brought a lawsuit against Behringer. Now, at the time, Behringer didn't address this, and it took a while before what they initially did, which was their only response to this, is to change the name from Centaur to Zentara, so Centara, and they changed the little logo here. So this was the contention of Bill Finnegan, was that because it kind of looks so similar to the pedal, and because it's using his trademark and also the actual logo, that this was beyond what any other clones had been doing that Bill did not bring legal action against. And that this was actually confusing customers, and by using his own likeness in their promotion as well, and not having Behringer on the face of the pedal like they normally do. And I think it must have been taken somewhat seriously, because what Behringer did was change it to Zentara and change this logo. Now, the thing, I'm not sure I saw anyone else cover this, but I saw that there'd basically been an update to this where the lawsuit, I went through and checked some of this, kind of made reference to Behringer actually changing this, but he said it doesn't really make too much difference because all of the old websites and all of the listings are still there. Basically, there's like not been a break in essentially that promotion, so that anything that was around the Centaur, that confusion, is basically now just called the Zentara, but all of the old listings like on Thomann or Gear for Music, or he made a few references like Sweetwater, are still those same initial links, so that if you search like Behringer Centaur, it just sends you to Zentara, and so that initial kind of trade dress infringement that caused confusion is just kind of continued. And I thought that was a valid point when I read through the lawsuit. And in any case, it meant that although it was an updated kind of amendment to the lawsuit, that he was continuing to pursue it. And it seems that in response to that, what Behringer have done is actually drop the C from Zentara. So you now have a scenario where you've gone from Centaur to Zentara, and they changed this little guy here and put Behringer on the front. And then your third iteration is going to be the Behringer Zentara. And never at any point have they actually put, that I can find, any sort of public announcements or public address of any of this stuff. So I think it's kind of curious to me. I wanted to kind of see what's happening. Another thing that Bill said that he had heard was happening was that people were buying from the updated listings the Zentara. So that was what they were saying that they were going to be getting in the listings, but that people were doing this speculatively because they were expecting that maybe they were going to be selling, like, say it was Gear for Music, or say it was Sweetwater or Toman, that they were going to be selling the old Centaur pedal, which is now, you know, facing legal action, but actually it was listed under Zentara, but people were receiving a Centaur, which is, of course, now at this point, you know, breaking trademark, and there's legal action being brought against it. I don't know if it's confirmed or been decided that it's counterfeit yet. So what I decided to do was that I've ordered from Gear for Music a Zentara, with it in mind that I'm expecting, because they've got some in stock, that it's either going to be a Centaur like this or a Zentara, and which would kind of validate for Bill, I think, the fact that, or the supposition that Behringer are not actually recalling these things necessarily. So if they've made adjustments to what is being put for sale on Gear for Music or Toman or whatever, and it's now the Zentara, and I receive a Zentara, then I'll update you on that and let you know what happens. Because it's, the whole thing to me seems a little bit curious. The fact that I was mentioned in the initial lawsuit was what made me think, well, I should cover it again, because I jokingly said that I work for Behringer. I have no contact at Behringer. They're actually really difficult to get hold of, either Behringer or TC Electronics. I think TC might be gone now, but, or the main people that worked at TC. There's this company called Music Tribe, and I presume they must send some of these out to people to demo, but I bought this one from Anderton's, when it was like on the second sort of raft of, there was like a small amount that maybe went out. This was the first time that I could buy one in the UK, and people started selling them for really stupid prices after the Zentara thing. There is a lot of these for sale on eBay still, but I don't think people are still paying really silly prices for them. I think that kind of thing has sort of died down a little bit, although they are still sort of selling for around £100 and £125, which is kind of just, to me, a little bit silly. If you're looking for a Behringer Centaur, by the way, I'm going to either have a Zentara or a Zentara by, I think, tomorrow. So if you want this one, then, you know, offer me $6,000 for it and I'll let you have it. But I'm going to hopefully be able to update you exactly what is going on with this. Now, if you're thinking of spending silly money on a Behringer Centaur on eBay, then I can say to you that it does sound good, and the pedal seems really good, quite good quality, especially for Behringer. That's kind of the shame for me of this, because it did seem like a little bit of a Behringer turning somewhat of a different leaf in terms of it being like quality gear, but the fact that they're treating Bill Finnegan and his, you know, trademarks like this does, to me, doesn't sit well at all. And I'm glad that Bill is continuing to pursue this legal action, in that hopefully it does set some sort of like a standard. Like, although the pedal world is, you know, so much of it derivative, that at least, you know, there is some line where if you cross this, like, you know, but it's Behringer, they're huge, right? They just keep changing their name, I guess, every sort of 2 months, and who knows. But anyway, I'll update you on that. The Behringer Centaur saga continues from Centaur to Zentara to Zentara, which now to me sounds like the sort of thing that they could have called a Zen drive. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Have you bought one yet? Are you going to buy one? And how do you feel about Behringer in general doing this? This is not, of course, their first thing. I remember reading some things about Lindrum relatively recently. and Moog pedals, or Moog, however you actually say it. Everyone that's been sort of ripped off by Behringer, no one is particularly happy about it, but I don't think anyone really has deep enough sort of pockets to actually be able to do anything about it. I guess that's kind of the point of a multinational corporation, isn't it?